All right, this is Bob Van. I traveled with Russ. I can't even remember the years. But the memory I want to share is Russ having this crazy coat and doing the funky chicken, which,
Yep.
which was a novelty song at the time. And you could look it up, but it was hilarious. And I don't know where he got that coat or who made it for him, but it was a real treasure. And I'm going to turn over to Millard, I guess.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I'm Millard Buchholz, and I was one of the singers. And I remember Russ. I remember that coat you were talking about is almost like Joseph's coat of many colors. It was quite a piece of work, and it just made his personality. And when he'd come out with that laugh, I mean, it was like Santa Claus himself. Yeah. Was chuckling. He just I could just still hear it, you know. But he was a great guy to be around. Kept things lively and humorous, and kept the dressing rooms alive. Now I pass on to the next one.
All right, I'll take it from here, because I want to go back to the code issue again, because on his page, I can't remember the lady's name, but I deciphered from reading it. She's 90 years old, and she wrote Russ within the last year or two and said, "Russ, do you still have that coat?" And that lady actually was the one that made that coat for him.
Oh, wow.
And I guess one of you, what I talked to the other day, said that you knew that the coat was not made out of material, but it was made out of leather from car seats, if I recall that right. Who was it that said that? Was that you, Bob?
No, that was a surprise to me. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that before either.
Okay. I just remember the many colors of it, you know.
Yeah.
So that was really unusual. Yeah, go ahead, Steve. You had a little bit to share earlier too.
That was it. Millard shared the story that I remember most of all.
Okay. And it was so common when, you know, in the midst of a joke or whatnot that wasn't funny, whoever told it up on stage, that if Russ laughed, there was more laughter because of from the audience because of what Russ was doing and laughing.
Yeah.
And, you know, then everybody, you know, including the whole group, we just knew it was going to happen, you know. So
Yeah.
Anyway, Don, you got one to share for?
Yeah, I sure do. Russ and I started out in the Spurrlows in 1969, and the guitar player at the time got drafted. And so then they called Russ in. And so I got to know him from the very beginning. So we were real good friends on the road. And when we came to Colorado, out to my place, of course, we live on a farm, and I raised pigs, and my dad had raised pigs. And so I kept teasing Russ that, hey, we've named a pig after you. And so when he came out, we did the concert there in Akron. Well, I asked, I think it was Eileen, for the staying privileges of having Russ come out and stay with me at my home. And so I went out. It was after a concert. So I went on out and I picked up a little baby pig and brought in Russ Jr. to meet Russ. So anyway, and of course he had that laugh going, and so the pig didn't appreciate the laugh, but we did. So anyway, he really enjoyed seeing Russ Jr. there, the pig that I named after him. And but we had some great times. He rode in the equipment van with me, and so he was my second driver on occasion, and so it was great. I wanted to tell there's another story. I said I had a couple of them. I was in the equipment van with Russ, Gregory, and Wally Gilmore and myself, and we played an assembly out near Boston, Massachusetts. And it was an early morning assembly, and we didn't have time to get any breakfast or anything. So we got done with the assembly, and we were all hungry. So we went to this little grocery store, and Russ bought donuts and buttermilk to drink. And of course I had there wasn't much there. We had donuts and whatever else we had. Well, going down the road, Russ says, "I'm not feeling so good. I think you better stop." So I pulled over and stopped, and he proceeded to throw up on the side of the road. He said, "I shouldn't have got that buttermilk, you know." And I said, "Well, yeah, maybe not. But anyway, that was some of the things that happened on the road. But anyway, that's a couple of them that I remember. So,
All right. Candy, Carolyn, Schaefer. Let's see.
Sure. Well,
Wally.
go ahead, Candy.
Yeah, Russ, I traveled with him in the, well, for 3 years, actually, with the Spurrlows, the Bloody Truth, and the Crimson Bridge. But the thing I remember the most, Gary Schaefer, was you and me and Russ traveling in that yellow panel truck together. You
That's
remember
right.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were always traveling together in that panel truck when we were in the Crimson Bridge. And I think we had that in the Bloody Truth too. I'm not sure, but anyway,
We
that's
did.
relevant.
Yeah.
But the thing I remember most about Russ, well, he was one of my best buds ever. He was just such a buddy to me. I just adored Russ. But then also, I think he's one of the top guitar players. That I didn't realize how good he was until I listened to some of his recordings later on. And I thought, boy, could that guy play. And he did everything he could to help me to be more funky. But it just he said I was a hopeless case.
Good. Yeah, we, like you, Candy, Gary and Carolyn Schaefer, we were with Russ probably for close to 3 years with Spurrlows and the Bloody Truth and Crimson Bridge. And remember the big yellow truck that we traveled around in that he used to drive. I thought, man, I hope this thing doesn't tip over, you know. But we just loved Russ. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was in Taylor, Michigan, and he lived close to Jimmy Page, you know, Led Zeppelin.
Really? Wow.
Yep, and he used to play with him, and
Wow.
well, that kind of fell through. So he went and played in the clubs, and he quit there. When he left Rod Stewart, he moved on. I said, "Wow, Russ, Jimmy Page and Rod Stewart, huh? You left at the wrong time. You had the wrong timing there, bud." And but yeah, I just remember him as being a good friend and an excellent guitarist. And I get by with a little help from my friends. He would do a Joe Cocker imitation that was very good.
Oh, yeah.
Gary, did he go frog gigging with you guys?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Frog gigging.
Yeah, we went frog gigging up in Michigan, some rehearsal camp. And we saw, and Roy, Gary Hammond was telling us, I call Gary Roy. My name's Leroy, my middle name. His name is Lee. I just call him Roy. But it was raining, and so we took that yellow van and we went down and went to the gas station, and Russ is buying gloves and a flashlight and a club and a sack, and the gas station owner thinking, who are these guys going to rip off anyway? And we remember that Gary had told us that he had seen frogs that when they were stretched out, some of them would measure 40 inches from one leg to the head. I'm thinking, yeah, right. Tell me about it. So as we're driving back, we saw this rock jump off of the road. So we stopped, and there was about 3 feet of grass. We looked down there, and I said, "Look at that, Roy. Or Russ," I said, that's a frog. And we caught a half a dozen or more down by the lake. And when you stretched them out, I think they were like 28 to 30 inches long. I didn't know that frog legs could be bigger than chicken legs. And
Tasty.
they were incredible. They would have been tasty, but we left them in the freezer, and we're headed to our first gig 100 miles away. And we said, we forgot them frog legs. Good memories of Russ.
Well, I think there is a photo you've reminded me of. There's a photo somewhere. And I think what this was, that was in Brighton, Michigan. There was a swampy area down below the cabins. And if I recall right, Wally, weren't you in the boat out there
No.
in that,
No.
going after some frogs with Russ?
I was only in Ypsilanti.
Another call.
Okay. You were only in Ypsilanti. Okay, I thought it was at, like at the end when we discovered, I thought it was at the end when we discovered Larnell at Brighton, but okay, a little foggy. I got one more story. I don't know.
When
maybe-
I got one after you, Gary.
Okay. This was one that was, it's just kind of trivial little thing, but some of you might remember it riding in my car because I was driving that, one of the station wagons that year. And I don't remember who gave this to us, but Candy rode in there a lot with me. And Don, you might have remembered this, or Schaefer. There was somebody gave me a frog. It was green frog, and it was stuffed full of either bird seed or rice or something. And what am I going to do with this thing? So I stuck it up on the dash up there underneath the rear view mirror. And Russ got in there and he came up with a name for the frog and decided to call it Taco. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
I remember
That frog sit there up on the dash and rode her for hundreds and hundreds of miles with us all around the country. I don't remember whatever became of it, but just one of them funny things. And Russ named him Taco for whatever reason. He named a frog Taco. I don't know, but that was Russ's idea. One other thing, do you remember that we got carried away? And I don't know why I remember this. So we got carried away. We come up to a edge of a table or anything where we could take our hand. You remember we'd sit and do this and rattle. Remember that? And we'd make noise. I don't remember what it was all about, but it was just something that we did. And just a little gesture that we had to just, fill our empty heads with time, I guess.
Yes.
It's a cure for boredom.
You know. Wally, you got any stories about Russ at all?
No, I just remember his infectious laugh that would just ignite the whole audience whenever things were a little slow, and
Right.
and his great friendship. He was a wonderful human being.
He
So,
was.
great friend.
Well, Sue's got one. Go ahead, Sue.
Yeah, let me introduce myself quickly because a lot of you don't know me. I was not a Spurlow, but I've known Spurlows since 1966. And I went to Trinity College. My name is Sue Abernethy. At the time, I spell it Sioux. And I was good friends with the Crimson Bridge for the couple of years they were there. Both groups, the first group that was more of a folky, not really folky, more of a jazzy brass. And then the second year when Gary came and Russ and Candy, which was a little more rockin'. And I have a couple of pictures I wanted to show that I found later. This is Russ and Candy, if you can see. Candy's out front singing this time.
Oh, yeah.
And here's one with Russ and Gary and Dave Dyer.
Yeah.
This is Crimson Bridge. Yep. And then my experiences with Russ, I have a lot of pictures of Russ. I had no idea. I just found this one today showing some attitude.
Yeah.
But I would go to the concerts. I was at Trinity. I would go to the assemblies and then the concerts. And I dated most of the guys in the band. And I was friends with all the girls in the band. And this is Russ and I comparing our bellies after a concert. And we were like Mutt and Jeff, oil and water, not really like oil and water. And here he is giving me a hug. And he was just the sweetest thing. And I always got my teddy bear hugs from him. And we always connected that year that he was in the band, and he was just super special, so sweet. And yes, the laugh and the hugs and the memories were great. And he was an amazing guitarist. And I went back and was listening to some Crimson Bridge again the last few days, and he really had that David Clayton Thomas voice going on too. Just incredible, great songwriter. And they recorded the album and we didn't even know the album was out. I've got a picture of Gary Schaefer and I asleep in the back seat when they were on the way to Chicago from Norm's house, Norm Baker in Madison.
Yes.
Yep. We were asleep in the back seat and they were headed to Chicago to record the album. And then the Crimson Bridge album came out and we didn't know it was out. And I was out on Corral tour out in California, and one of the girls found a Crimson Bridge album actually in a store. So we came back, got the album distributed, and it's great. It's still great. It's up on YouTube. The whole Crimson Bridge album is on YouTube. And of course I still have my vinyl copy, but that music 50 years ago sounds better than ever. all of it. I don't care who wrote it, if it was Terry Winch or Gary Rand or Russ Gregory, or just great stuff. Really, really good stuff.
And the album, when you go to it on YouTube, just under the Crimson Bridge, the first song up is "Better Times Are Coming, They Will Come, You Will Know."
Better
Russ singing that. Yeah, great
times.
song.
Yep,
Good song.
know all the songs.
Which seems appropriate, believing that
Yeah.
Russ is in a better time now. Before we forget, and I know we still got at least 10 minutes here. Everybody get Sue, can you get just a little bit more light on your face in the room you're in there? Give it a video signal.
Hold on
And,
1 second.
I want to get
Yeah, we have a really bad camera here.
oh,
Oh,
that's better. That's better.
is it better? Because it looks really, I look like I'm
No,
a
it's good.
skeleton
Good.
or
Yeah.
something here.
Candy, get in a little closer, and then Don too. And I want to do a screenshot so I share with people that missed out. And so let's do it on 1, 2, and 3 when I go that. But I don't want to have my eyes shut or my mouth open this time. So
Yeah.
I'll be a ventriloquist. Here we
Chris.
go. All right, 1,
picture
2,
of
and 3. All right, let's do one more. 1, 2, 3. All right, good.
Sounds like every photo, Spurlow photo session ever. One more.
I'm gonna look at them now and see what they
From
look
San
like here.
Francisco?
Um,
Steve Mullins,
What's that?
are you still in San Francisco?
Yeah, in Walnut Creek, east of San Francisco. Yeah. Yeah, been here since 82.
mhm.
I've got a funny story. Of course, the funniest story ever is still Rochester Gary driving the tractor. Nothing beats that. But
Oh, you know
but-
what? Hold on just a second. I'm gonna,
Go ahead.
any
Yeah.
more Russ stories? Cause I'm gonna
Oh,
stop
okay.
the recording so she doesn't have to listen to stuff that she doesn't relate to. So if that's it, any more Russ stories, we'll just keep it to that.
No, just let her know how much we all loved
Yes.
him. I mean,
Right.
it's been 50 years and I knew him less than a year and he made such a huge impact on my life.
Yes, he did, yes. And trust that, you'll recover well, and we'll just cherish those special memories that we had with him. So we'll be in touch with you.